Now, if you've ever tried to deal with images in a responsive way, this is very exciting. It's a pretty simple solution. Even though it's a little hard to wrap your mind around before you see it in action, the syntax here is about as simple as it can get. We list the images along with their sizes, because the browser doesn't know what those can be yet, and then we list the size that we want the images at different breakpoints. Pretty sweet. Now, even though this is an awesome solution, it only works in Chrome at the time of this recording. Now, it's part of the HTML spec, which means that it will be implemented in other browsers over time. But for now, we need to find a workaround. And again, like we talked about earlier, when there's HTML or CSS that's not consistently supported across all browsers, there's usually a polyfill for it. So let's do a quick search in Google for srcset polyfill. And there's a few options here, but the one that seems to have the most momentum is picturefill. So this is the one that we're going to use. Now, there isn't a ton of documentation here, but like most third-party libraries, it makes sense to see if we can get it on Bower, so we can pick the version that we want to use, update later, and also, something I haven't mentioned before, is the idea that once you have a bower.json file that includes a lot of your common libraries, you can use that JSON file to spin up other projects later. So I'm going to hop on the Bower site again and go to search. And let's do a search for picturefill. All right, there it is. So let's go back to our command line. Now we have this window open here that's running our server that we're now running our site off of. So we want to leave that open. So I'll open up a new window and let's move to the location of our project here. I'm going to drag this over. We'll do cd space and then the location, cd change directory, and we'll do Bower install, picturefill, and then we'll pass it the save parameter to add it to our bower.json. All right, and now let's navigate to it in our directory. So here it is, picturefill, and under dist. All right, and now we'll go to our index.html, and like most polyfills, you'll want to add them to the bottom of the browser. So I'll do script source, then it will be Bower components / picturefill / dist / picturefill, and we'll do the unminified version, and then we'll add the closing tag. So I'm going to remove this really quick so I can show you what this looks like if we don't have it working. So I'm going to jump over to Firefox, and I'll open up a new window and put our localhost address here. And you see we have our image, but it stays the same size regardless of the browser, and it's a low quality one. If I zoom in, you can see this. So it's clear that it's using the fallback on the image tag rather than using the source set. So if we go back to our code and we add the picturefill in, let's save this and refresh in Firefox, you see that we now have our high resolution image being used. And if we make the browser screen smaller, you can see that the 100% is getting triggered here. Cool, so we should be good to go to use source set and sizes now in our images to get the right size image for the right context, which means responsive images.